Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. So, we need to stop listening to ignorant people. What is ignorance? It is a lack of knowledge, understanding, or education. And as people, we don't like to admit that we don't know something. So, if you're having a conversation and something comes up that maybe you truly know nothing about or you're not very knowledgeable in, most people will just kind of play along and they spit out things that don't make any sense or not relevant, rather than admit, I don't know anything about that subject. Now, that's kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around, because when I hear something that I don't know, I admit, I really don't know anything about that. Or, what is that? I don't know. Whether it be a definition or something in the political landscape or economically, anything. If I hear something, if I'm talking to somebody, or if I'm reading a book, watching a documentary, whatever it is, I will look it up and become knowledgeable in that, whatever it is that I don't know. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm an expert, but at least I have some vague idea of what it is. Now, why we need to stop listening to people that are ignorant is because, especially when it comes to finances or personal decisions, if somebody knows nothing about a subject and they're giving you sound advice or what they would do, but they really sound out of touch, they don't sound like they know what they're talking about. But if you value that person's opinion, you might take it. So you have to listen to what the person's saying. And if it doesn't sound like it makes any sense, or if you know that person really doesn't know anything about that subject, you need to take what that person says with a grain of salt. So let's say that you are in a massive amount of debt and whoever says, oh, well, getting out of debt is so easy, blah, 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 blah. But you know for a fact they've never been in your situation. Maybe they've never had a large amount of debt for whatever reason, or they do have debt and they don't pay it off. Would you really want to take what they say about debt repayment and finances and apply that to your life? I would think not. There are a billion and one things that people are ignorant about. If somebody knows nothing about tattoos, which I've encountered people that know nothing about them, and then they try to educate me on tattoos. They don't have one. They don't know anyone that has one. Their ideas are outdated. So they sound ignorant. And especially when somebody's trying to educate you on something that you actually know a lot about, and then you're sitting there and you're like, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. And it does get frustrating because you're like, you clearly don't know anything about that subject. And it could be anything, guys, honestly. It could be child rearing. It could be marriage. It could be your specific religion. It could be the job field. It could be college, anything. If you're talking to somebody and they clearly don't know what they're talking about, they are ignorant. And you do not want to take advice from somebody that knows nothing about a subject. And if you are ignorant of something, I encourage you to do your research. Admit to the person you're talking to that you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't want to. People don't ask because they don't want to appear ignorant, but you appear ignorant when you just start spewing out things. And I also want to point out that ignorance does not mean that you are dumb. It does not mean you're a simpleton. It doesn't mean that you are less than. It simply means you do not know. That's all ignorance means. Lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of education on a specific thing. But there is nothing wrong with admitting that you don't know. And I encourage all of you to remember that. And there's nothing wrong with hearing what people say and saying, like, they're obviously ignorant of that subject. Now, that doesn't mean you need to tell that person that. You can just, okay. but no, and you have to use your senses and be like, they obviously don't know, or they've obviously never been in this situation, and they're just spewing out things. So just something to keep in mind, guys. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. If you did not know, I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life with Mercedes. Until next time, guys, bye.